Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Monday TTS Daily Edition with me, Yi. Our first story is in China where, one of the hottest Chinese TV star right now, or is it movie star, Zhao Lusi. We heard about her last year when she collapsed on set, on Almost Lover, that drama series set, and now she's back with big, serious allegations. Next up, back home locally, another vaping story, okay? Yes, they keep coming fast and hard. Followed up by another local case where this man keeps reoffending. He served time for it and he came out reoffending the same thing again. Our last story, we're going to be ending it off with a tale of a China MRT tale where two elderly couple started arguing and the whole carriage started arguing. Zhao Lusi is back in the news again, and for people not familiar with her, Zhao Lusi is one of China's top drama stars, up and coming young drama stars. She made headlines last December 18 when she collapsed on the set of Almost Lover production. After that, all of the netizens were literally outraged with her media company, her management company, Yinhe, Galaxy Cool, They were accusing them of overworking Zhao Lusi to the point of pure exhaustion, Even there were many stories of how she was being mistreated by the company, even allegations that saying that she was left in the cold during winter time, just leaving her with her assistants to freeze in the cold. And some of the shooting schedules were non-stop shooting. She had literally no rest. So much so that she collapsed on the set of Almost Lover on December 18, 2024. And she was diagnosed with conversion disorder, severe anxiety, depression, and aphasia. What even is aphasia? And Zhao Lusi even suffered temporary speech and mobility loss last year. So it was a really big news, So much so her weight dropped to 36.7 kilograms. I mean, that is really alarming. So after that, there was pictures of her, at the hospital, on the wheelchair, taking physiotherapy to learn how to walk all over again. And despite all that, she stayed with her management company, Yinhe, It seems that they were doing some sort of damage control or what, Even though everyone is telling her, you need to leave them, Everyone is scolding Yinhe. She never said anything bad about Yinhe until now, So fast forward to early January, you can see her, appearing at charity events, supporting herself with a cane. After that, she even had a documentary show, her healing journey from all this. I think she also recently extended her contract with Yinhe to 2030. Shocker, isn't it? But now, on August 2nd, 2025, Zhao Lusi accused Yinhe on Weibo of withdrawing 2.05 million RMB from her studio without consent to cover losses from cancelled endorsements and also from the Almost Lover production losses. Because of her case, she couldn't record as often because of her illness. They had to cut short the drama series from 24 episodes to 14 episodes. And apparently, Yinhe somehow managed to just withdraw this money from Zhao Lusi's studio. So she has a studio under herself, Basically like a media company, And then she even mentioned that, she should have reported to the police back then. So, that really implies you guys were right all the while, they were really, working me to the point of exhaustion. They didn't treat me well. They were doing me wrong. I should have reported to the police. So now she is saying all this stuff online. And the next day on August 3rd, 2025, Yinhe came back, denied all wrongdoings, and even urged Zhao Lusi, please don't post like this, please avoid such vague posts, people will think wrongly. And all Zhao Lusi did was just responded with a green tea emoji. A green tea in Chinese, it means 绿茶. And there's this slang in Chinese where when they call someone a 绿茶, a green tea, it means that you're someone that looks very pure and light on the surface, but when you drink the green tea, there is actually bitterness to it. It is used usually to imply people who might look very innocent from the outside, but is actually very cunning and manipulative. You call them a 绿茶, So that's all she did. She just replied with this single green tea emoji, Which was well done, So now, Zhao Lusi wants to cut ties with Yinhe, but then she just extended her contract to 2030, so I'm not sure how it is gonna end because this early contract termination is definitely gonna come with hefty fines, We will let you know more when we know more. Okay, since we finished that story, now we're going back locally to Singapore where we have another vaping story, okay? And most vape users also think that they are invisible girls slash women, it seems. Why? Because they are very insistent on vaping publicly, thinking that they are invisible. We have this guy here in uniform now, allegedly vaping on the bus. You know, I can see from that little pink device holding in his hand. And how many times are we gonna keep talking about this vaping news? This is becoming such an issue that vape newses comes hard and fast every day, you know, so much so. You know how some channels they are doing on niche news, some channels are like purely reacting and reporting on like traffic accidents. They can even do it locally to regions because they have so many news on it that there's really a niche market for such channels, such content creation. If we were to focus just on vape news at this point, we could even be a channel dedicated to just reporting vape news because of how frequent these are, you know. And it's just alarming how some people, these vape users, they seem to think that I'm just gonna keep the vape in my hand, you know, turn my head to the side, take a little puff, and nobody's gonna see me. Nobody's gonna notice me, you know? And you know that smoke that I exhale? Nobody's gonna see it because I don't know. I don't know what were they thinking, okay? So much so that don't these users know that if you're gonna vape publicly, you are almost certainly going to be seen, going to be reported on, you are almost certainly going to be caught, you know? And then why do you still insist on doing that very well knowing that you will get caught? Is this some kind of IQ issue right here? Or no, you know, because I finally realized, like I mentioned in the previous video on vaping, it's nothing about intelligence. It's all about addiction right here. They are so addicted, they cannot control the urge anymore. Let alone people in uniform, even though uniform personnel are supposed to be very disciplined, am I right? He can't even control the urge. That is how terrifying and how dangerous vape addiction is. Even more so K-pods laced with intermediate. That is why these people have lost all sense of reasoning. Remember that 17-year-old boy vaping in an enclosed area in the MRT? I mean, why do you think he suddenly stumbled? Why do you think he suddenly staggered and stumbled there? Could it be like he vaped at home, walked to the MRT, sat on the MRT train, and then the effects came half an hour later? No, I don't think so, right? He must have vaped in the carriage. Same as this personnel here in the bus. And once again, in an enclosed area in the public. We still have no context on if there are any harms to the second-hand inhalation of fumes from intermediate laced K-pods until now. It could be more dangerous than we think it is, you know. Anyway, this man is in SAF custody, okay, and investigations are ongoing. But then, Bin the Vape initiative has started, okay? They have bins at 23 community centers and they're expanding to more institutes of learning. This is your chance. Quit it. Go to a bin and bin your vape. Okay? Do not let yourself be a statistic. Hey, so let us know in the comments if we should consider rebranding ourselves to focus purely on SG local vape news. Because at this rate, there's gonna be a content gap that creators aren't covering enough on all this news. Okay, next up, still locally, this man, Yu Weijie, 36 years old, has just been sentenced to 17 weeks in prison after pleading guilty to 2 counts of voyeurism, 1 additional charge of voyeurism and violation of film laws considered during sentencing. And you know what's the best part? This wasn't his first time. He was previously sentenced to 15 weeks also for voyeurism offences. He came out and he couldn't control his, I don't know what you call this, couldn't control his habitual offending, you know, or is it passion? I don't know. Either way, it's wrong, okay? So the incident happened on July 23rd, 2023, 10 p.m. It is important you hear about this incident because most people are often in the shoes of thinking like, did that really happen? Am I overthinking things? Should I report to the authorities? A lot of people are at this stage, you know, they are in a point of doubt. And this story will let you know that yes, report to the authorities even in doubt. Okay, so what happened on July 23rd, 2023 was this man, Mr. Yu, followed an 18-year-old victim from Bugis Junction to Little India MRT, then to Serangoon MRT. And he took secret photos under the victim's skirt on an escalator, bumped into her knee accidentally, which got her attention because she seemed to notice some kind of glow and the weird positioning of his phone, So the victim tried to follow him, but lost him. He probably noticed she was following him and he managed to shake her off like that. But despite this doubt, because she didn't had the chance to confront him and see whether her photos were in his phone, she still reported to the authorities, to the police. And police did a surveillance check, and you know what? On August 2nd, 2023, less than 2 weeks after the incident, at Bugis MRT station, he initially followed the victim from Bugis Junction, right? At Bugis MRT there. At Bugis MRT station, he was actually caught red-handed with a mobile phone and USB drive seized. I mean, kudos to the police force, okay? They used that information reported by the girl, even though she doesn't have real concrete proof did he do it. She only, he accidentally bumped into her, he saw the weird position, she was having all these doubts, she couldn't confront him, but she made the report. And that report leads to surveillance check, finally leading up to him being caught less than 2 weeks later at the same place where he first met the victim, Bugis MRT. And on August 4th, 2023, they raided the defendant's home and police found videos of at least 10 other victims. And I would assume these 10 other victims were fresh victims after he was released from his previous 15-week sentence. That's why I say women and men should all wear safety shorts. Yeah. If not just, let's just have a new culture where, let's just make long skirts trendy, Make long skirts trendy so you do not have to wear skirts higher above the knee. This pregnant lady was seated on the 爱心桌, also known as the seat of love, in the China MRT at Heilongjiang, okay? But she was told to scram. This is your last story of the day. Follow us for more. This just happened and caused outrage all over the interwebs in China, okay? This pregnant lady seated at the so-called reserved seat of China. In Singapore, we call them reserved seat on the MRT. In China, it's called the 爱心桌, okay? Seats of love, okay? She was seated there, minding her own business when an elderly couple came in and the whole MRT is full, and they just walked over to her, pointed at her and say, "You should get up and let us sit." I mean, like, hello? Could they not see that she was pregnant? I mean, look at this, okay? And after that, the pregnant lady was like, "No, I'm pregnant. I have the right to sit here, right?" And she started filming the whole incident. But this elderly couple keep insisting that elderly people have priority over pregnant ladies to sit in the priority seat, the seats of love. Okay? And then there was people seated next to the pregnant lady that automatically got up and offered their seat to the elderly couple. And the elderly couple could be heard on the video telling the person that want to give up their seat, wait, you look quite old to me. And that girl, that lady beside you, the pregnant lady, is younger than you. You should sit down and she should give up the seat to us. So much so that the people in the train couldn't take it anymore and got into an argument, a heated argument with the whole elderly couple. And the elderly couple insists that the law requires these seats of love, these reserved seats, these priority seats, to be given to the elderly when requested. They insisted this is the law, And I went to check online. No, apparently this isn't the law. Okay? You are encouraged to give up these seats, these priority seats, to the old, the handicapped, and the pregnant. And by the way, in the event where all three are in front of you, the old doesn't exactly take priority over the handicapped or the pregnant, okay? Okay? So they were really, really out of their depth in this one, okay? And that is why everyone is so outraged. And there was this, finally you can see this really poor old man who was so angered and also arguing with the elderly couple that you can see he was like resting at the end there, because he was like so agitated by this whole situation.